Today on Near Mint Condition, Transformers, Headmasters, Titans return.
Dogs and cats living together. Democrats and Republicans doing butt stuff.
Well, new Transformers. They're awesome. We're gonna tell you why.
Transform.
You know, he's like a level 1 transformer. Like, blind kids can transform that one.
Tina, this is why Transformers were made for young boys and not for girls.
Of all the second glitch diode blowing dimwitteries.
All right.
So Dan brought some of his toys with him.
Yeah, these are only mine.
Did you give up? I want you to see you transform this thing.
I have all these spare parts.
It's a good thing you don't work on cars. Or you're a surgeon.
I don't know where this bolt's supposed to go. It's probably not important.
Computers. I can't fix
He came
this
in with 2 testicles. He's leaving with 3.
Even with 3 that we just found on the table.
All right, so
Does this pop out?
Headmasters.
Headmasters, yeah. So, in the 80s, these are our beloved 80s Headmasters that were kind of the started the downfall of the line.
Why don't you explain exactly what a Headmaster is?
So Transformers came out in the 80s. Then in 1986, you had combiners. You had a bunch of robots that combined into one robot.
Which were the coolest.
Yes, which absolutely the coolest thing. And that really kind of opened the door to gimmick Transformers, where you had little robots turning into, I really hope I don't break your hard head here, turning into heads of other Transformers.
And before that, you had things like
into guns,
Constructicons, and
oh yeah. So it was all about the gimmick.
This was season 3 of the Transformers animated series. It was the Target Masters and Headmasters.
That was season 4. The 3 episodes.
I stand
season
corrected.
4.
I stand corrected
that's
because you're right. It was only 3 or 5 episodes. However many episodes.
3
it was.
episodes.
But a complete season in Japan.
Yeah,
I do remember this. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I had a couple of these. My brother had a couple of these.
Yeah, like he said, some of them turn into guns, some of them turn into heads, and
some of them turn into engines. So like you can only transform it if the engine is in there.
Yes, my brother had that one because my mom loved my brother more than me. Or I was too old to play with Transformers. One of those 2 things is correct.
probably knew who his father was.
That's the way we were talking about this. The milkman.
But the great thing about collecting Transformers these days is that all of our favorite toys are being remade in new versions with new toy technology. So you've got, old Hardhead, who his action feature, other than his head coming off and transforming and him transforming into a tank, is that he can stand there and move his arms up and down.
Very intimidatingly, I might add.
Yeah.
It's really hard to wipe your ass that way.
Well, there are benefits to being a giant robot.
Never thought about that. You should not read my fanfic.
Whereas now you've got these toys that, are super... they're, just as articulated as any plain old action figure. I mean, he's, moving all around. He's got... Well, this one doesn't have waist articulation, but so many of them do. But it's the same gimmick now. With this Titans Return line, the head comes off, turns into a separate little guy. But now what they've done is they have taken this Headmaster gimmick and thrown it across all of this year's Generations line.
Well, okay, before you get into that, how long does it take to transform this versus this? Because I remember this toy. I don't think I own this toy, but I remember this toy.
You know what? This is not bad. These are the deluxes. These are the $15 to $20 figures, depending on where you get them. And, it's relatively complex, but it's not that difficult.
Okay.
So you can do it in a matter of, a minute or 2.
Okay, so it's not like my giant Optimus Prime that takes 20 minutes to transform.
No. This
Has
is
anybody
not like
told
the Masterpiece figures or anything
Tina?
like that.
Because she's been trying to transform that thing for the last 30 minutes.
Keep going. You're
I'm
almost a
pretty
bat.
sure-
Are you a bat? No, you're
Close.
So she's doing what I used to do with the Rubik's Cube, which was peel off all the stickers and put him back the way, like, look, Mom, I'm smart. But
We smashed
not
it and put it back
right?
together.
I think I'm getting close.
You're getting close, but you got to transform it back.
You literally took off all his limbs. Anyway, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway,
there you go.
He is,
Okay.
mostly transformed.
All right. Okay, that makes sense
Yeah.
because I've complained about Transformers being too easy to transform, where you go and then they're transformed. I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
like
that's
that.
and that's
No, thank you.
that's the weirdness of how Hasbro's kind of approaching this line. But I want to get back to that later. First, I just want to talk about how you've got this new Optimus Prime that is this version is a Powermaster, like I said, with the engine. Here, he's a Headmaster, like all of the other Masters. So you pop that helmet off, head comes off, turns into a little guy.
Huh.
And that's the entire line this year. Every figure in this line, except for the Legends class, which are these fellas,
Okay.
are all Headmasters.
Now, is there a story behind this? Or...
Good question. The comics are about to go into that story right now. The next month or two, the Titans Return storyline starts. But there isn't any cartoon fiction. All of this, you've got this giant, awesome new Fortress Maximus. He makes sounds. He comes with the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Master Sword versus Fortress
Link's
Maximus, who
Hyrule
is great, but kind of sits there. You've got, new reinterpretations of characters where, this guy, he's $5. He's just a head, but you can take it, the whole point of this is that you can take this and plug it into any of the other figures. So, for instance, I could take that off there and plug it into Prime, and,
Does that allow you to do something like transform it? Because the
No.
other you couldn't transform it.
You could, but
Yeah.
they lied to you.
Right, but so the whole line is Headmasters, which is great, and I love that they're doing this, and they're putting so much love into these figures. So, but they've got this line, they've got the Robots in Disguise line, which is the more kid-friendly, I guess, line that has a cartoon series that supports it. They've got the comics that are running that use these old G1 characters. And then they've got this horrible Combiner Wars Machinima series.
That's what I was actually going to ask you about, is the Combiner Wars, because I've been to Toys R Us and I see some of these Combiner Wars toys, and
the
they look
Combiner
really
Wars
cool.
were based more on the IDW comics. The Combiner Wars series that he's talking about was it crowdfunded by Mission?
No. This is an official Hasbro.
They gave them money?
Yes.
These guys got paid, it wasn't a fan?
No. And so they've produced these 5-minute episodes that are very stylized animation. The best thing about this series is the voice acting, in that it's pretty decent. But it's 5-minute episodes in which nothing happens. It's horrible. It's really difficult to watch. The difference between a movie year, so Transformers, Dark of the Moon, all the bullshit Michael Bay movies, and these years is that if you walk into Target right now, you see a Transformers shelf, it's maybe got 3 or 4 figures spaced out on pegs, a lot of open, empty space. Whereas in a movie year, it's like Star Wars, where you've got a whole aisle's worth of stuff. And that's disheartening. Obviously, the Michael Bay movies are here to stay, and that's just... They make a shit ton of money for Paramount and Hasbro and everybody. So it's but it's weird because it does feel like we have on years and off years and on years and off years for this stuff.
You say that, but the whole purpose of the movie that we all love, Transformers the movie, was to get rid of the old dudes and bring in new figures.
Sure.
So it's the same thing.
Sure, but this is all of this is directly pulling on our memories of having these figures as a kid. These are not really, they're not marketed to kids, really. Mm-hmm. They're, they're in the toy section and whatnot, but these are, because of the fact they're not supported by any, cartoon type fiction, why would a kid who's watching cartoons want to buy these versus Robots in Disguise? And those are fun toys. I'm not but those are 3-step Transformers.
He has some Bumblebees and stuff like that, Grimlocks.
So, as a kid and even as an adult now, I still get freaked out about these things.
Why?
So confession time. It doesn't make any sense, right? Who's in control? this little fucker or this guy, right?
But that's just a body now.
No, it's not.
Oh wait, does it have the hidden head like inside that you can pop up?
Because these little guys, okay, in the American version, they were humans and whatever. Nebulons.
Green humans.
They transform into heads. Like Daniel and RC had this weird sexual thing going.
It was not sexual, even with the robot boobs.
It was sexual.
Yeah.
And because he turned into her head. In the Japanese version, these little guys are their own little sentient beings.
And these are just big suits.
Yeah.
Basically. Which makes a lot more sense conceptually. I don't know how in the comics they're going to come up with, let's, do the head thing. I mean, that's...
I'll form the head?
Yeah, right. It's going to be really interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to that, but I hate the fact that all of this seems ephemeral, because as soon as The Last Night, the new Transformers movie, comes out, all of this is going to be gone. And it's going to be...
K-N-I-G-H?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's going to be, Bayformers on the shelves again.
I stopped
now,
at
granted,
the second
that'll
one.
be great for my wallet. But...
How much, I mean, like, I'm used to, like, I remember in the 1980s when my parents would take us to, like, Toys R Us or whatever. Or
Children's Palace.
Children's Palace.
Children's
you
Palace.
know. And they were fairly cheap. They were, what, like $10, $5?
They weren't that cheap, honestly.
No, Optimus...
Even back then.
So, like, as
Optimus
a...
was a bit more.
Well, when you got the bigger sets, but I'm talking about, like, the smaller size guys.
These guys aren't... These guys are about $15.
Okay.
15 to 20, depending on where you get
That's
them.
completely doable.
So 15 to 20... This
Now, obviously, these guys
breaking them
are
apart. This
hedging
range
your
is
wallet.
25. These guys are 45. But I mean, Powermaster Optimus Prime, what was $35?
Yeah, when he came out in
when
87.
he came out in '87, and that's this guy. Obviously, he's a little bit chunkier, but in terms of like just their role in the line, the prices haven't gone up a huge amount.
And that's
now,
what I was
granted, and these are
wondering.
much smaller than these, obviously.
But I don't remember
But-
the price point of that guy to compare.
I do.
So how much was the original Fortress when he
Fortress
came out?
Maximus was
I was
$99.99.
gonna say, he was $100.
He was
$100. I
$100.
remember that.
All right. So New Fortress Maximus has only gone up $50. Because on
Yeah.
Amazon and at Toys R Us, you can get them for $150. Now, this version of Fortress Maximus,
That's amazing.
thank you, Tina,
You're welcome.
San Diego Comic-Con version, that is right there.
With the
Wait.
bondage.
That's the same robot as this one.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
So this version
That's
is
Omar's.
$200.
Okay.
Because he is the exclusive that comes with the Brave
The
Maximus sword or whatever it is.
With the Link's Master Sword.
Yeah, with Link's Master Sword.
Cool.
that you yourself could use as a
Back
weapon.
scratcher.
Oh, it's got the little
A
guys
back
on
scratcher,
them.
yes.
Yeah.
But, so, this version is a little more because he was an exclusive. Because San Diego Comic-Con always has exclusives.
Right.
I like how it says for ages 8 and up. Can you imagine an 8-year-old trying to do anything with Fortress Maximus? Like, it's as tall as him.
No
Put
8-year-old wants to
everything
play with a
into his
building.
nose. Like, this little
What's so
guy
fun
right
about
here.
playing with
in
Have you ever
the
seen an
nose.
8-year-old? They're taller than this.
This is true. My 3-year-old is taller than most 3-year-olds, so I assume, So, this guy, my brother had one of these, and I had one of these. This is Galvatron. Fantastic figure. This is much cooler. Look at these guys. You want to talk a little bit about this Galvatron?
Sure. Now this, I would love to. This Galvatron.
Wait. Oh, it doesn't
No,
work.
the battery's corroded out of that. Yeah.
You let him corrode?
Here, let's put this down.
Let.
It's not like you could stop it, Tina.
Yeah.
Stop that, Galvatron. Quit
You
corroding.
remove
corroding
the
yourself.
batteries, and then you...
Galvatron, is that you? I'm corroding myself.
So this figure is kind of the best and the worst of this line, right?
Does it still transform
It's
to
kinda
a
cool, though.
laser?
Here's a hint.
It transforms into a big laser cannon. Problem is, this is
Don't
where
hurt yourself, Tina.
this headmaster gimmick kind of fails. So he's got this head that turns into a tiny little version of Megatron.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So it turns into a tiny little version of Megatron. You plug him in, but then the problem is you put him on like that, and he's really kind of too small for the figure. So to address that, they've got this little flip-up mask.
Oh,
and
that's
as
really
you can
cool.
tell, yeah, it seems really cool until you look at it and realize it really kind of stinks.
Well, you look at it from the side and from the
But,
top.
like, front
so
on
it
it
makes
looks
no
pretty
sense.
cool.
Front on it's not bad. It's like a pretty decent toupee until you get really close and you're like, that ain't real.
Front on, it seems like the Halloween costumes from the 80s that we put
Oh yeah, that's like the.
I had
So-
a patent one of those.
I was Fortress
Transformers
Maximus one year.
Yeah.
The Metroplex.
I was also
I-
Metroplex.
I
one
was
year.
Optimus Prime. Absolutely.
So
Glow
what
War.
I've done
Glow
for
War.
that
Nice
is
work.
I ordered some like 3D printed helmets that can go on
Third
to
party.
That
yeah,
was
Also,
third party.
you can
3D
order
printed
like
stuff.
little mods for these guys,
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of make them like
And
that
I'm
much
sure
more badass.
The nice thing about this, I mean, frankly, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened already. Let's just order a new head altogether and get rid of the headmaster gimmick. Just a head that plugs right in there.
That'd be cool.
Because he is a good mold. I like.
Oh,
the
yeah,
mold
it's
of
a
the
great
Galvatron.
mold.
and he's also has a third party gun
Yeah.
holder there.
So, anyway, these toys are great, and this is a perfect expression of Galvatron.
Yeah, he looks great.
I am thrilled with all of these toys.
Now, how much was this Galvatron?
$25.
$25. I could swing that.
Well, you should. If you weren't buying video games and stuff.
Well,
If you
We
didn't
all
have
have our
Japan
own.
to go to.
yeah, it's like games, toys, and see, this is the dilemma because like my cousin and my brother, they're still way into Transformers, especially my cousin. My brother maybe not so much, and he'll message me and be like, "Man, should I get Galvatron? Should I get this, and this?" And like this, I had all these toys when I was a kid, and I see a new one coming out. Like I see things like this, like oh my god, I need to buy this.
Well, this is what brought me back in. Like I bought the Combiner Wars from last year, which was redoing all the combiners.
that was the
from
one. That was
80s.
one of the ones that he was way into. The
Yeah,
Combiner Wars one.
I had gotten out,
Those toys look fantastic.
but every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Titans Return is an awesome toy line. Give it a chance, especially if you used to be a Transformers fan. Go take a look. In the meantime, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think, and we'll see you next time.
Dolls.
Of this wonderful toy goodness that
Good
if
job.
you're lucky enough to find it in a store,
I'll give that to you.
yeah, you did it. Great.
But I'm missing. I've got like this. Obviously goes somewhere.